So we're back here again to continue our journey through Italy with Mr. James Alvarez.
Hello,
And
hello.
we're going to be continuing through Milan and specifically Lake Como is what I'm excited to talk about. And Lago de Orta. And yeah, then we'll be pretty much done with the first portion of my trip through Italy. I went back to Italy later on in my journey. We'll go back to that later, but this was the biggest part of Italy in the first part. And Milan is like the Los Angeles of Italy. And a lot of people don't like big cities. I don't know why. Do you like big cities?
I do, but like it depends on the city. Like New York scares me because there's so many tall buildings and I feel like I'd just be clustered and like I like cities if they're like big and there's space to breathe. You
Yeah.
know what I mean?
Yeah, this I would say this city was like it wasn't too clustered and like a lot of the buildings are not super tall. I think also like in Italy there's like a respect for like some of the biggest churches and stuff. Like for example in Rome, none of the buildings can be taller than the Vatican. So there's no like
Oh,
skyscrapers
okay.
in Rome. And I think in Milan too there were some skyscrapers, but it didn't feel stuffy. It was like spread out and people still got around and the cities were like hustling and bustling and it was super rad.
Yeah, well, I think too in like cities that are large, you can go on different adventures in a large city. So like I've lived all over LA and you learn, about cool spots or like
Yeah.
every city has its like, I don't know what you want to call it, like specialty or like, cool vibe about it.
Yeah, it's got its own vibe, its own chutzpah.
Yeah. So, and there's usually some interesting characters too you meet along the way. So that's always fun.
Yeah. So here's Milan, just so you can kind of get like an idea of like what it kind of looked like, and it's very much like different than everything else that I've shown you. It's like an actual city, right? And there's the
Yeah.
skyscrapers, there's some tall ones, but it was pretty spread out, and
Those skyscrapers just look so out of place.
yeah, right.
It
And then
looks.
you can see right there in the middle, like this is the Duomo that they have here. So they had a giant church also,
Hmm.
which was absolutely wild, and I'll show you some photos of that. But yeah, Milan was super cool. I like the big city vibes. There's always a bunch more restaurants. There's a bunch more people. Sorry, this video is not going to be too great. This was me just trying to get footage of the city itself. But yeah, but you can see it's completely different than every other place that I've been to up until this point. Okay.
Yeah, there's some modern buildings mixed in.
Yeah, there's modern buildings, a lot of apartment buildings. Here is the Duomo specifically. That you can see it from front. See how small people are? This is one of the
Yeah.
biggest ones also.
Jeez.
This one was on the northern border of Italy. Milan's in the northern part of Italy, and this one was specifically bombed during a lot of the world wars, and it's been reconstructed many times. And even on the inside, there's like all kinds of different stained glass. Sorry, one sec. Turn that down. There's all kinds of different styles of stained glass because they all had to get redone throughout different parts of history because they would get blown out from bombs during the wars. And so they had to reconstruct a lot of it. And you can see like even the colors are more vibrant than a lot of the stuff we've seen in the
Yeah.
past because it's used with different modern techniques. And see, even like here, this is another one. Just like this one was a very modern one in relation to when it was created or when the original structure was created. But this building itself, too, took a long time to complete. And you know who actually ended up paying to get it completed? I believe it was Napoleon Bonaparte because he came into this town and he took it over and he basically commissioned for the building to be finished because it was for his like grand inauguration of him being emperor. And so
Mm.
he like spent a bunch of money to get it done because it was taking so long to get built. And like a famous like sorry, a very interesting thing about this place too is the Duomo in Milan has the most statues of any church in the world. Like you can see here, like there's like one, two, three, four.
Oh, I
There's
didn't even see
yeah,
those.
there's thousands and thousands. And like when you go here to the top, see all these thousands and
Oh,
thousands. And even over here, there's thousands and thousands. And just all of them basically there's each one of them is a different famous person from
yeah.
Italy or different places. And so it's super cool.
I wonder if they like sculpted it like on top of that point or they just like brought it up there.
Yeah. Well, I believe that a lot of them were placed on after, especially if they were on the facade outside. Yeah, I don't think that most of them were created inside of the building itself. I
Yeah.
think most of them are brought, but I'm not sure. And then I thought you'd get a kick out of this person. This person was just in Milan. This is the Liza Minnelli of Milan, street performer. She belongs in Burning Man.
What is that down there? Is
It's
that
a
like
monkey that says grazie and where people put money in it. She has this.
Oh my God.
Dude.
Is it raining?
Oh, it's raining.
She's killing it in the rain.
It's raining men for her for sure.
I love the car. It's like has the lights on it.
And then she just like busts into Italian, but she sings in English. So it was just so funny because she's definitely an
That's
Italian.
awesome.
Yeah, so it was great. So she was super entertaining. Yeah, Milan was cool.
You know what I haven't seen, Joe, is any night shots of any of these places.
I don't know how to take night shots.
Oh.
On my
yeah.
drone, you can do it,
Well,
right?
you can't really take like dark night shots, but like at least when the city lights are on and it's
Yeah.
like, you know, right past like golden hour, it's like when you could take like really good
Got you.
pictures.
To be honest, dude, I need a session in learning how to shoot on sunset time. So a lot of my stuff later on in the trip, I get much better with sunsets. But this is also where my friend Natalie joined me on the journey. And it was really cool to have a friend. She stayed with me in Milan, and we had planned to go to Lake Como together. And so, you know, Milan was great. Basically went to a couple museums there. It was a very
Yeah.
big city vibes. I enjoyed it. And I also just didn't realize how much I missed having someone to like spend time with and enjoy things. Because, you know, all the greatest things in life, like you're always going to laugh more with a friend. You're always going to enjoy things more with a friend. The food's going to taste better with a friend. When you're by yourself, there's
Yeah.
some aesthetic and beauty to it. But when you're with somebody else, it just enhances the experience.
Isn't that like your best memories are always with someone?
For
right?
sure. Yeah, your best memories are never when you're by yourself. Your most emotional maybe and like introspective memories, but like there's never anything as exciting as when you're with other human beings.
Yep.
And so, you know, she came on the journey, and Natalie, shout out to you. Thank you for joining. And we just were laughing and joking and sharing a lot on her journey. And she had left. She'd actually moved out of the United States. She was living in London now, and that's why it was easy for her to jump over and hang out. And she came to join, and we went to Lake Como, which was super cool. And
Is it like a really big lake?
Lake Como is a giant lake, but in the middle of it, there's like all these little towns, like kind of like Cinque Terre. And we're going to get to, you know,
That's
let's just
cool.
go to Lake Como now. 1 second here. So Lake Como, this is like when we first arrived, just like a cheesy photo, but you can see it's a huge lake and like mountain ranges. In my opinion,
That's beautiful.
okay, Lake Como, in my opinion, is the most beautiful place on earth, I think. It just is nestled in between these mountain ranges, and you have the Swiss Alps all the way in the distance, and basically the Swiss Alps in the distance, and you have the mountains covered with snow, and then you're in this giant lake, and it's just absolutely gorgeous. And basically, you know, it's like we stayed in a little town called Bellagio. So Bellagio is where George Clooney's house is. I didn't find his house, but George Clooney fucking gets it, okay?
Yeah.
That guy understands, and he chose the most beautiful town in this entire place. The town is like in the middle of this lake, and so in the middle of the lake, you get to see like all the surrounding cities, and just like you can see the mountains in the distance, and it's called the Pearl of Lake Como. And let me show you some drone footage.
How big is the Pearl? Is it like massive, or is it just like
Well, how
5
big
by
is the
5?
town? Well, the town is basically called the Pearl.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is me and Natalie there, but this is Lake Como.
Okay. Oh, nice.
Let's go up, yeah, so you can see. Like
That
dude,
is just gorgeous.
dude, like breathtaking is an understatement when it came to this place. Like I've never seen a more picturesque.
What is that
view.
on top of that hill? Is that just like a?
This is, I believe, like a mansion of somebody that owns a property up there.
Jeez
and
Louise.
and a lot of the most wealthy people in the world, they have like vacation homes here, and I don't blame them. I will definitely go back to Lake Como again.
Yeah.
And you can see like the sun cascading in on different places, and it is just so beautiful. Like Words can't describe this. Like that's why this drone footage, in my opinion, is so invaluable. But dude, like, and anywhere you look is just picturesque, and I'm so for sure Lake Como is the most romantic place on the planet. So I'm actually really glad that I went with a platonic relationship to Lake Como because I felt like I actually got to appreciate it in a way that I don't think others do. Because when you go in a relationship, my assumption is you're going to be worried about the other person, you know, you're like super paying attention to them. But being with just a friend, we just kept being in shock and awe of how beautiful the place was, and we just kept paying attention to like the beauty of it all, and you know the little details. And the little details, when I say like little details, like, you know, the whole entire city like had here what like this is this no one sec that's the Airbnb. Like the little city had all these beautiful flowers like in between, and we were like checking out all the beautiful flowers, and we were just like all these pretty walkways that we were like checking out, and it was super
Were you
super
wearing a
gorgeous.
cape, dude?
I was like Superman.
You are so funny, man.
Let's see.
Yeah, look at the road you're walking on. It looks like something out of like
Here we go.
a book.
Like this was
Oh, wow.
okay, so this was a I don't know what it's called. This was like a garden that like had all these beautiful pathways and walkways that was just at the end of this walkway that we went to. And this is just perfectly kept. And I felt like I was walking through Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah, this looks amazing.
And like here's like this hallway of like trees, which was super cool, you know, and like basically just like this gorgeous hallway of trees that you can see like
I love
in the
that.
distance, like super beautiful here. And then you have, you know, all these sorry. Oh, actually, these are my favorite trees I've ever seen. They look like something out of Dr. Seuss. These little leafs growing out
Yeah,
of
that's
them.
weird.
Like literally like fern gully trees is what I kept calling them. And they were super cool. And then, you know, then you have like these beautiful tulips and like these tulips. And so we got super lucky because the day before we went, it rained the 3 days before, so everything was in bloom and everything was bright, vibrant colors. So we went on a very special go in May. That's my advice. End of May. It was just perfect. The weather was perfect. Everything was perfect. Like it was just honestly like I don't know if I could ever recreate the beauty and just the experience that we had. It was just absolutely magical, and I definitely like we ended up at the end of the trip. So there's little towns, like I told you, right?
Yes.
Then at the end of the little towns, not at the end of the little towns, you can choose to go to actual city of Lake Como, or you can go to the little towns that are along the water.
Yeah.
I highly recommend not going to the actual city of Lake Como. The lake city of Lake Como was just like any other city in Italy. It was
Yeah.
cool. They had a church. Every city in Italy has a church, and it was like a nice like actual city. If you want to experience Lake Como, go to Bellagio and experience it. But we climbed a mountain near like the actual city of Lake Como, and this is like a video that I made, like a TikTok video where we were just walking up this mountain. We were like jetting up it. It took like I forget, like a couple hours or an hour or two, and basically we get to the top so we can look over Lake Como, and it was absolutely one of the most breathtaking views from above. Because we were trekking up. The video is just us going up and up and up, and there was this abandoned house, which was super cool. And we get up there, and basically when we get to the top, this is the view.
Jeez.
And it was just really breathtaking to make it all the way up there, and it was super cool. So that is definitely, if you do go to Lake Como, the actual city, make sure you climb up the mountain that's to the right. I don't know if they would consider it a mountain. It was a mountain, but you can take like a drive up there, or you can walk it. I recommend you walk it and hike it. It was super cool. Okay.
Yeah. On that little, you call it the Pearl, right? Was it just all homes on there, or is it like there's like shops and stuff
Yeah.
too?
Shops, like we actually went to like a super cool I mean, like this is like the walkways that we like went up, like the stairs, and like kind of just to show you. Oh no, one sec. That's not what I
Oh
was
my
doing.
gosh.
Okay. No, this is like a wine cellar that we like went to there, which was
Oh,
super
that's cool.
It was like a little hobbit home, and it was built into like the side of the mountain, and like basically this had all this delicious wine, and we had a really good time in there too. And yeah, I mean, yeah. Okay. So yeah, I mean, takeaways from Lake Como was that if you're trying to have the most romantic experience of your life, take your wife, take your girlfriend, take the person you're dating, and you are going to have the best romantic experience for sure. The food was amazing, the people were amazing, and it was really nice to also just like realize like how important it is to share experiences with people. And I'm really glad I got to share that experience with my friend Natalie, and just being there with her was so nice. We met some other Americans on the trip, and we hung out with them. We went to dinner with them a couple times. We had some drinks with them, had some amazing wine. And
Were you just filled up on pasta by this time? How much pasta did you eat?
dude, I was having carbicide at this point. I just was done with pasta.
Well, I guess it's good. You're walking up every hill's a mountain to you. So it's like, so you're just like walking up. You walked everywhere. So you were just burning all these carbs, huh?
Dude, I was burning all these carbs. And one of my friends told me while I was on the trip, I was like super conscious about like gaining weight. And at the same time, he was like, dude, when are you going to be on this trip ever again where you're just in Italy living there? He's like, eat every pasta.
Yes.
Order everything.
Yes.
You're going to be fine. And he was absolutely correct. And I started ordering all the things like I usually do, which is way more than I ever need, and just tried everything, had more pizza. I had pizza coming out of my ears, I'm pretty sure, at one point. And yeah, dude, it was great, but definitely ate a lot of carbs, and I definitely walked off a lot of carbs because I didn't gain weight. By the time I came home, I actually lost weight, and it's wild how that happens. I think obviously mentality has a lot of effect on your weight gain or weight loss, and I think I was just in a more positive mood, doing things that I wanted, and so my body wasn't retaining all that fat and all that stuff longer. It was actually burning it, and it was
You're
cool.
really active. You had to walk everywhere.
Everywhere.
You rode bikes. Yeah, so I'd imagine it's a different lifestyle than you being at home and not walking everywhere, right?
100%.
You just DoorDash everything to you, huh?
Literally.
Yeah.
You don't?
Yeah.
Okay. And then after that, I went back to Milan, and I went back to Milan because I wanted to watch an opera there to see if it was better. The thing is when I went back for the 2 days I went back, it was a German opera. But the thing about opera is when they're singing, it sounds the same as any opera. But when they would talk, it sounded super aggressive. And so this is the opera.
Are those scooters they're riding on?
Yeah, they're riding scooters.
God, her voice is just crazy. Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And
she's
so-
like tiny too, and she just has this like
a projecting
Yeah.
voice of just
Just
magic
power.
and beauty, and it was super cool in this one. Actually, I was in a box.
What's
by
going
mys-
on with the piano, dude? Is it like flying? What's
I don't know. I don't remember exactly what the situation was, but yeah. But she basically like, I ended up in a box by myself, and I was just like sitting there, just lost in the music and lost in the sounds, and there's very, very powerful magic in opera, and I was like processing thoughts and like thinking about things that I had not thought of for years, and I was just like in like a different dream world in my head while I was just listening to this opera, and it was super cool. And yeah, I highly recommend, if you haven't been to an opera, go out of your way to go check one out, because the voices, their skills and their talents are very special, and definitely had a profound effect on me emotionally and mentally. And yeah, I definitely highly recommend going to see one if you have never done so.
Yeah. Put that on my bucket list.
Hey, maybe I'll take you to one.
Yes.
I actually
Yeah.
don't know. Do they have an opera house here in Southern California?
Yeah. I think they do opera, right? They do opera in like downtown.
I think in LA and
Yeah,
downtown.
they definitely do it.
Yeah.
I think.
Dude, you should take your mom 100%. Yeah. Dude,
Yeah.
it's honestly like, it's an experience. So much better than a movie. and it's like you're just sitting there with this respect and awe for these people that have trained their voices their entire lives. And a couple of the operas that we saw, like the main singers, I would not consider them good looking, right? But that's not what it's about. They are performers and their voices, and that's their power. And like, and even like some of the women, not to say anything negative, but they're not what you'd consider ideally pretty in like normal societal standards, but they are the stars of the show, and they are getting standing ovations, and they are projecting, and their voices are telling a story. And I didn't know one word. I didn't need to know a word, though. You're watching these stories, they're putting on a show, and even though I understood none of it, I knew exactly what was happening, and I could feel what was happening, and you can see it.
Yeah.
Before I went to the shows, I'd read like a 2-second blurb just so I kind of understood what the premise was, and that's all I needed. Other than that, I could see what was going on and I could feel what was going on. And with opera, you feel it in your bones. Like you can literally feel it vibrating down to your core, and you get the chills, and it's really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, music does a lot, and then on top of that, you have like this angelic voice, just like overlaying that. It's just, yeah, it sounds beautiful, man.
Dude, and not only that, but you have the live orchestra. So every single one of the opera houses, you have a full orchestra on the bottom. So not only like it's like going to a symphony, you get the symphony plus the opera plus the costumes, and you're seeing these like maestros, like they're going crazy. Their hair's flopping everywhere. Their things are going a million miles per hour, and you're just like, it's like you. Sometimes I would get myself like I wouldn't even be watching the show. I'll be watching this guy down there just getting after it, and they're performers too, you know, and you know everybody points to them, they bow, and they're part of it, because it's not like where you're at most shows or most things now where you just press play. It's live. If they make a mistake, you would hear it. Yeah,
you have to be on point,
dude. It was cool. Yeah, and they are on point, dude. It was phenomenal. Opera is a very special thing, and we'll talk about it too when we get to the next part. When I went back to Italy with my parents, we did see an opera together, and my dad, it was one of his favorite memories of the whole trip, and it's just so beautiful.
That's great.
Yeah. All right. We are going on now. We're gonna leave Milan.
Bye, Milan.
Actually, one thing I do want to show. I went to the Arch. This is Napoleon's Arch when he like took over Milan. He like made like an Arch de Triomphe type of thing like in France. I just wanted to show like I really love like, one sec. I just want to show like how many people are out. It was like a Saturday night, and you can just see like, look at the thousands of people just hanging out by this Arch, kids, and like it was such like a wide variety of human beings. Like you have families, you have kids, you have, like little things. You see like let's say like an 18-year-old like on a date, their first date or something like that, right? Or you'll see like older people, like a couple, they're walking holding hands, or you see a family playing with their kids, and everyone's having a drink, and like obviously that's something that Americans never figured out, except for in Vegas, right? Just having like having a beer, and they're sitting there just sharing a story, laughing, and like I felt super lonely at this moment. I remember feeling super lonely. And I called Ibrahim, and I was like, hey, dude, I'm not like feeling too good. I just feel like really alone right now. Like I really just wish I had a friend here just to experience it. Not because when I went back to Milan, Natalie was not with me. And I went back, and I was like just seeing all these groups of friends just laughing, playing, hanging out, joking. And I was like, dude, I just really wish I had a friend right now just to have a beer with me and shoot the shit. And then Ibrahim was like, all right, you got to go out. And I'm like, he's like, it's Saturday night, you got to go out. I'm like, dude, I don't want to go out. And he's like, just go out, trust me. So I walked towards where I heard there was some nightclubs, and I sat down in a chair, and out of nowhere, this guy just sat down and started talking to me. And it was awesome because he spoke pretty perfect English, and he ended up being a lawyer. And he's like, what are you doing here just sitting by yourself? Yeah. And I think his name was Enrique. And we just sit and started talking. And it's funny because he told me this. He's like, I told him about my experience so far in Italy and how nobody spoke English. He's like, on behalf of the Italian people, I want to apologize to you because all of them take English from like first grade. They all know how to speak English. It means that they're probably choosing not to speak to you.
Oh my gosh.
And so it was like a little bit of like a painful but like funny conversation. And he's all like, people speak English here, and just maybe you weren't connecting with them. But I had a great time with him, and he gave me a little boost of confidence. And then I ended up going to to I felt great after I talked to him. I went to another club because they were going home and they didn't want to come out. So I went to another club that was 10 feet away, and I just was super talkative at this point because I felt good. And then I met a couple super cool Romanian girls. They were super awesome, but like once again, they weren't from Italy, and we got along and we were kicking it. And this club was called Cavalli, which means like horses, but it was, just like a raging club.
Cool. Is this outdoors?
Yeah. And in the clubs there, they don't really care about certain laws. They're shooting off fireworks, all kinds of crazy stuff. That was fun.
Pyrotechnics going off.
Yeah, just no rules like in America for sure. But dude, yeah, it was just like, sometimes you just need like a little boost of confidence, like one of your friends like kicking you in the ass, like go, you got to go out. And so Ibrahim, thanks for that little, but yeah, just do it.
Yeah.
And that was great. Yeah. So that was Milan. And then after Milan, I went to this little town called Lago de Orta. This was not even on my radar. The only reason I went here was because I have a client that I got because of Beth. It was somebody that worked in a hospital with her, and I did such a good job for her. She told me, you got to go see my mother. She lives in this town called Lago de Orta. It's near Milan. And I almost didn't call her because I was like weird about it.
Yeah.
And she's like, you need to go see my mom and stay there. And I'm so glad I did. I went to Lago de Orta, and I got a chance to hang out with this lovely lady named Denise. And it was my client's mother. And I had so much fun with her. She was like my own personal little tour guide, taking me around this town. And this town is tiny. Guess how many people live in this town year round?
Yeah, maybe a couple hundred.
900 people.
900 people.
Town.
That's still small for a town.
Dude, it was...
Everybody must know everybody.
Okay, so this is...
Here we go.
Okay, so see, this is like what it's famous for is there's a little medieval island in the middle of the lake. And like on this island, they have like this old church. And basically, like that's what it's famous for. And it's just same thing like Lake Como, like Lake Como vibes. Like very picturesque and just like perfect.
Do people live there, Joe?
Yeah, some people live here, but mostly nuns live here.
I see.
And they have like I forget, like a parade or something there. I went to this island, which was cool. But yeah, this was that little island. And here's here, I think, yeah. So you can see this is the view. So there you go. Now you can see the town in the distance. And so that's the little town just right behind it. And just beautiful little town, and basically just gorgeous on all accounts. And yeah, dude, it was basically like this little town frozen in time. A lot of these places were just like frozen in time. Like Siena was just like frozen in time. And you're seeing these places, and I felt like I was having like an out of body experience a lot of times. Just like, where am I? What am I doing right now?
Yeah, this is unreal.
Yeah, like, this is unreal. And I just like get to like hang out and check out these places.
This is a fairy tale. Even just walking the streets and seeing all the beautiful like architecture, the colors. Yeah. Like I noticed like a lot of homes in Italy, they're all colorful.
They're all colorful, and like all like this was the ferry ride when we went to like the island. Like, dude, it was just like, look at this like scenery. Like it's just literally out of a movie. Just literally gorgeous. And yeah, and let me put it this way. This town was so gorgeous. There was a statue of a painter, world famous painter, and on the ground in Italian, it says Lago d'Orta is the most beautiful place on the planet. And because he would sit there and he would paint every single day.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Super cool. And then there was this super cool church, just wanted to show you at the top of the mountain. I think it was Dominican Order of Church. Cane Dominicanos. Yeah. Dominicane means like basically like they're meant to be like, Cane means like dogs, the dogs of the church, where they're going and they're spreading God's gospel by like being the dogs and like barking it out to the planet.
Oh, I see.
And so they had all these beautiful wooden sculptures.
This almost looks like a painting. Like, dude, look at this.
They're full-size, real-life sculptures, and they had a bunch of different rooms with these beautiful sculptures, and it was absolutely rad.
Yeah.
Rad. Each one of them has an emotion, a face. I forget who the artist was, but there was several rooms like this. Let's see here. This was a photo, I think, of the same room, which was super cool.
I know. That's still right there. It looks like that's a painting.
Yeah.
Like, that's crazy.
Dude, it was crazy. Like, I was felt super blessed to like see this place, and she took me up to it, and that was super rad. And then, yeah, this is one other room just to kind of like show you another like thing. Like, look at this. Like these are real life size sculptures. These are not tiny. These are not little. They're all real life size, and it was super cool. Okay,
What are the sculptures made of?
wood.
Wood?
Wood. They had just been repainted.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, so they looked fresh. Cool. All right, on that note, we're going to leave Italy and we're going to get ready to go to España.
España.
España. So we're going to close out the episode now, meow, right now. And
Great.
we'll jump in a second here.